Cancel.
Schweezy.
Let's just jump into it.
All right, we're going to jump into it. It's time. I think this is like an appropriate day. I don't know. I just feel like right now is a good time to talk about my religious trauma. So we're talking about my religious trauma, the Christian kind. Religious trauma from what? Christianity. I would think Muslims probably have. I feel like Christians and Muslims have the most. If you're like Catholic or Jewish, it's just called parental trauma. I think that's just what. I don't think. Do Jews have? I guess technically, it's more like lifestyle because it's Judaism's more of a. There's a lifestyle. It's a religion. We're not getting it. We're not. This is not that show. We're talking about me here. This is my show. We're going to talk about my religious trauma, and that comes from the Christianity sector of the woods. I think they're the ones who. I bet the Muslims have religious trauma pretty good. I haven't met a lot of those guys. I met a couple of them who are practicing, but they're kind of on the like. A little more on the progressive side, if you know what I'm saying. It's like they're okay people and shit like that, but they're like, I kind of like Allah. We're not talking about them. We're talking about me today. I found this website called The Refuge. So is it just therefuge.com? No, I'm going to tell you it's like therefuge-ahealingplace.com. And even the link I'm going to is a link. I'm going to put that in the description of the highlight, and I'm not the full episode. It's gonna be actually no, I'll put it in. No, wait, no. If you're an audio listener, you're not gonna read it. You're listening to me talk about it. like this is the audiobook version of it. So okay. Anyways, though, this is a good site. So we're not making fun of this website because this is actually a good website. So we're not making fun of this website. I actually really support what they're doing, but. So we're going to talk about me. So this is going to be about me. I want to just talk about my religious trauma for however long I can. So anyways, what the Refuge does say about religious trauma, a.k.a. on their About Religious Trauma section. For the most people, religion is a source of strength in difficult times and guidance throughout life's challenging moments. Faith-based communities like parishes and congregations often supply a much-needed sense of belonging and support, and increasingly these communities are becoming more welcoming to diverse populations. But sometimes religious beliefs can be used as weapons of power and control that can cause significant trauma. We have become all too familiar with the rampant corruption within many religious institutions that allowed horrifying physical, emotional, and sexual abuse to continue for decades. Then there are authoritarian religious sects that deny individuals the right to be their autonomous selves, known for imparting hate and shame throughout their teachings. All right, voice is still weird. Children raised in these communities are at especially high risk of experiencing the effects of religious trauma even after escaping the environment. They will likely experience troubling symptoms later in life. If you are an adult whose childhood was impacted by religious trauma, please know that you're not alone. The Refuge offers hope and healing from the trauma of many kinds, including the enacted by religious communities, which provides a safe haven for you to embrace your truth, acknowledge your past, and heal from your trauma. So, this website's great. And they really they hit it right on the goddamn fucking nose and stuff like that. And, I know people who go through, religious trauma, and it's like, I still believe in Jesus and shit like that, Beliefs don't change. And I love someone here, and I saw something that was like, people don't leave, Christianity because they don't believe anymore. They don't believe in Jesus anymore. It's like they leave Christianity because they believe in Jesus so much that they're disgusted with what Christianity has become. And I'm like, yeah, that's 100% me right there. So I love it. This is just a good start to this. I'm like, and this is not a psychologist diagnosis. This is me reading things and then reacting to them as an individual on what the hell is going on with my religious trauma, which is really funny because my very Christian mother told me before I started recording, don't cuss on your podcast. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna really disappoint you as a child. If I haven't already done it yet, I'm gonna really be doing it right now. So anyways, though, let's talk about the religious trauma. And let's also mention, that I grew up Christian too. So, and it's different, and that's a weird thing. Everyone's different. I can't I can't really examine everyone's life story, but what I can say though is I grew up in Christianity. I know a lot of friends who also grew up and now we're not really into it, and we're like, at least we can say on our end it's not entirely our faults. Like, we grew up in this. We weren't like adults and what, I want to be a Christian now. And I know there's some adults who are like, I'm gonna start going to church more, and I'm gonna really do more God stuff, and then I don't know, but like some of us were way too into it, and it was unhealthy. So let's just jump,
Let's just jump into it.
Signs and symptoms of religious trauma. This is the meat of what I want to talk about here. Religious trauma can manifest in many ways, and no two people will have the same experience. I hope I read that right. However, there are several typical signs and symptoms often seen in adults who experience religious trauma as children, including the following. So I'm going to go through each individual one, and we're all going to say,
"That's rough, buddy."
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing today. This is my religion. We're going over my. If you were like, I have this too, I'm like, I don't want to hear it. We're going over my religious trauma, and that's why I talk so much about Christianity. I don't know if some people are like, who the fuck gives a shit? And I'm like, I know, but I want you to understand me, please understand me. Impeded development, so social, emotional, sexual, etc. Yeah, so I guess sexually, it was like, it was a lot of fucking shame. I don't like giving out this shit, like, I don't like talking about my sex life. I don't really talk about my relationships and shit like that, except on a podcast where everyone remains anonymous. Like, that's where, like, I didn't even really talk to my friends who are like, oh yeah, what's going on there? Because a lot of my friends are married, and like the whole dating thing is like, oh yeah, what's going on? It's like, I love love. That's why you see married guys, like, they're watching like love stories with their wives, and their wives are watching it, and they're like, sexually, like, I think there's some respect for women. There's some women I need to apologize to on that. Probably every woman ever I could probably apologize to, but yeah, Christianity did not do good things for my sex life. It was pretty scary. It gave me a bad view of women, and that really goes into the social aspect of it too, where I didn't really view women correctly, and that's what I'm worried about. Like, I don't think I've done anything wrong in my life. Can't really think of much, but it's like if a woman comes out against me, I'm like, I don't want to. I'm like, I was wrong back then. Like, I already know I'm wrong. I feel bad about it and shit like that. Emotional, yeah. The emotional part, I might actually start going to therapy, people. That might actually be a new thing for me. Social, because I remember it's like, you're trying to like talk to women, make friends, like that. Like, I need Christian friends, and then I have my non-Christian friends. That was so bad. That was really bad for me. I don't like that shit. Next one we got, depression, anxiety, and other mental health concerns. Oh, man. That hit me goddamn fucking hard. And I think if it wasn't for religion so long ago, it'd probably be better because, I grew up in a time where, like, your mental health is new. And I think, I do want to say, like, Christianity nowadays really wants to, like, people get depressed. It's okay. People have anxiety. It's okay. Because if you told someone, like, you have anxiety, back when I was a kid, and you're like, the Bible says, do not worry. It was like some Matthew verse. It was like, do not worry about your day or whatever, and stuff like that. I'm like, it's not that. It's like a mental health anxiety. There's a difference between, like, things I'm worried about, like, as a human being for survival versus, like, my brain's anxiety. Like, it's hard to describe to someone who doesn't understand it, but, like, yeah, that's the picture right there. That's exactly what we're looking at here, and it's different. Being depressed, and you're like, oh, if you're depressed, it means you don't have enough Jesus. This is like the part that's like, this part really has fucked me up a lot. It's like you're feeling depressed, and like you're a kid, you're depressed, and like, either you need to go, and when you're just a young kid, I think you're at a point where, like, maybe you should talk to a therapist, or maybe you should talk to or someone, and my mom was like, talk to the pastor, which is not a fucking good thing, because it's just like, oh, if you're depressed, it means you don't have enough Jesus in your life, and that's probably the reason I even got baptized and continued on with this goddamn bullshit to begin with, because of my mental health. It's like, no, the way you were born, and I guess your body's, produces a lot of anxiety. Your blood pressure will rise. You'll have panic attacks all the time. It's just gonna happen, and you just need more Jesus, A doctor would be like, here, take these pills so you don't have panic attacks anymore. And then figure out your emotions and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, okay. That makes a lot of sense. But just like churches are just like, if you're depressed, there's a problem with your faith. Give us more money, shit like that. That's the nice thing. If people were like, how'd you get out of Christianity so easily? I'm like, I didn't give money to church. I never gave money to church, and I always felt bad about it back then. But now I'm so happy I never really gave money to church. I gave some to some ministries, but I never gave money to church, and it's a blessing. They got me to play guitar for free for them for more than it costs, So we're just gonna be honest right there. But yeah, no, my mental health, I generally blame Christianity for my mental health. And and so people are like, why don't you want to come help us at church? I'm like, are you going to pay me? No, I'm not going to do that. I have friends who work at churches who are very much not Christians. It's like, you like the money? Yeah, I get it. Poor decision-making skills. I made a lot of bad choices in my life, and it's more, and I really do think, I think I do want to blame Christianity for it, because you're like, when you're on like a spiritual high, make that decision. And like, that's not a good high. That's like a state of euphoria, like how to get high without drugs or alcohol. And it's like stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, I made bad decisions, but I'm also the smart person, that's why you listen to me. Lack of self-confidence and self-esteem. Yes. Because, and I feel like it all comes to dating, and I'm a guy dating, so I can't speak on the female context of this, but like, yeah, you're dating, and you're like, you're not as holy as that guy, and you're like, you're not as a good husband, you're not gonna make a good husband as that guy, and stuff like that, and like, and your self-confidence plummets because you're like, oh, this guy, my friend who's gonna be working a job that makes a lot of money, and he's just like, that's a man of God right there. And for some reason, it always is a part of like what job they are. I'm like a musician or whatever, and that's like, and I do think like there is something to it where it's like there's a difference, like, because there's 2 times I'm at a bar. Either I wanted to go to a bar with friends, or I am playing music at said bar. And if I'm playing music and I get off stage and start talking to people, my confidence is much higher than just me or whatever. So yeah, it's really stunted that, and that's why I had to be in the worship band and shit like that. And your self-esteem, you're like, I'm not as good as God. I'm just not good enough. And that's what Christianity teaches you, is you're like, I'm not good enough. I'm not holy enough, and I'm just not good enough for God. I'm like, buddy, as a human, I'm going to tell you, you're good enough. Not, like, fully good enough, but, like, you're good enough. You should stay alive. You shouldn't let God determine that shit. You should let every other factor in life determine that shit. And your self-esteem, that'll fucking break you down. You're like, oh, the hot church girl doesn't want to get with me. Oh, I'm just, and then, like, you actually do get on dates with women, but they're not, like, Christian or whatever. And it's like, oh, you've had a sexual partner before? And that's, you're like, why can't I get any bitches? And like, the reason we can't get any bitches, because you fucking shame women. That's why. Anyway, though, sense of isolation. Yeah, that's giving me, I do feel like no one understands. That sounds like a fucking, no one understands me in this world. I'm like, I feel it too, but I don't like the bitchy moan, how some people would say that shit. Yeah, I feel like no one, like, and I feel like, I have friends who are very much into the whole, like, evangelical shit like that, and I'm like, they don't get what I'm going through. And I guarantee I'm like, I don't get what they're going through. I wasn't a pastor at a church. I have friends who are like a pastor at a church, and they're like, I think gay people should go to heaven, and they get fired. And it's like, you'll never get that. I'm like, I'm not going to get that. Like, everyone's story's different, but like with religious trauma, I do think they isolate you so much more because that's cult mentality. Isolation is good cult mentality method, and it moves cults forward, I guess. Persuasive feelings of guilt and shame, especially on masturbating and things you do with women, that shit will just fucking haunt you forever. And yeah, it's not good. It's not good. It's definitely not good. Purity culture is like the worst thing I think that happened to many to millennials. I think purity culture, maybe even the tail end of Gen Z, or the tail beginning of Gen Z. I don't know what my tail's wagging on. Like, yeah, purity culture really just fucked us all up. It was just so bad. Yeah, I think it's difficult forming healthy adult relationships. Because, yeah, I think a lot of people I met in college were, like, super Christian or whatever. And, like, they acted like they wanted to be friends. So you hung out with them a lot and stuff like that. But then you come to realize, like, they don't really want you to be their friend. There's some weird adult relationships that go on in church where it's like, you can only be my friend if you go to church with me and stuff like that. You meet, like, one or two good people out of that, but, yeah, God, that's really bad. And you're like, you should come to church with me, and you try to meet a friend or whatever and stuff like that. And there's also, like, me making friends. It's like, oh, do I have a standard for you? And I do, like, and it has been really bad. I'm like, are you a guy who's been traumatized by the church? Please be my friend, no matter what you believe. But yeah, no, it's hard because you had to, like, set boundaries. Like, this is my non-Christian friend. This is my friend. And that's a really poor way to live life. Poor interpersonal boundaries. I don't know if that makes sense for me. I don't know if I can really relate. Nothing really there. Boundaries with friends. Oh yeah, I guess if you're talking about, like, boundaries with friends, it's like, I masturbated this week, fellas. It's pretty bad. Things are going pretty bad. I'm like, God, I just, masturbation's healthy for you, but, like, when you first start, you don't know the healthy amount. And unless you learn as a kid, like, the healthy amount, like, it's gonna be bad. And if you went through Christianity, it's bad. Nightmares or reoccurring uncontrollable thoughts about the Trump. Yep, I have reoccurring dreams all the goddamn time, dude. It's pretty bad. Like, I've been having, I have reoccurring dreams when my dad's just alive, but it's not like my dad's alive, so I'm not, like, going back in time figuring this shit out. It's like, hey, Dad, we had a whole goddamn funeral. I had to sit through a visitation for you. And I generally think someone dying, obviously the person dying is the worst thing. But the problem with that person dying is that, like, they have a visitation where you have to talk to every person who they've ever met. And when you're their family, you've not met every person they've ever fucking met. It's just how it is. And then you have the funeral, and you have to sit through the funeral, and you have to wait around and shit like that. It's like, yeah, and, that's, like, the shit, like, that I hate. That was my, I hated my dad died, but also even more why I hate my dad dies was because of that shit. I had, like, the visitation and shit. I didn't know. I barely knew anyone he knew. I knew a couple people, like, his good friends, shit like that. And then, like, I have a dream, and he's like, you're not dead, yeah? We had a goddamn funeral for you, right? Pretty fucking inappropriate for you to fucking do. Just to be fucking showing up and hanging out when we had a whole goddamn funeral for you. Shit like that. That's different. Okay. Last two, I think we have avoidance behaviors. Yeah, I avoid every fucking problem I have. I will go out of my way. I will let things slide to avoid problems. Like, are you still mad at me? And, like, yeah, sure. I'm like, I am. I am still mad at you. But I'm not going to make that your problem, That's how far in avoidance I've become. And then health concerns, sleep issues. Yep, I have an appetite problems. I mean, yeah, those are both the appetite problems. I haven't fully solved in my own mind yet, so I can't really tell you. Sleep issues, yeah. Like, I can't just fall asleep. Like I have to be so tired out to fall asleep. Because I have like melatonin, I buy like the highest grade they can give me. Try not to do too many of those, because if you do too many of those, they just stop working. Then you had to stop, and you had to go to drinking and smoking weed to fall asleep and stuff like that. So yeah. Do I think religious trauma is probably part of that? Yeah. To be honest with you, I'll tell you my sleep issues. Like, I need melatonin, like, to fall asleep for me. Let's just think about a good night. Let's just assume I didn't drink or smoke anything to fall asleep. Melatonin. I have to turn all the lights off in the room. So that's not too bad. Sleep on my Nuvilla mattress, first sponsor of the show. And then, I have to have something like, playing on, like, basically TV or YouTube or anything like that. I just need something on, Jimmy Eat World once said, I'm not alone because the TV's on. That's how I am. Like, I'm that melatonin, and then I have to, like, force myself to start getting drowsy. So, I, like, sit on my phone. And I hate the idea I have to sit on my phone to fall asleep, because, like, apparently you're not supposed to do that. But then, like, I watch pimple popping videos. This is gross, I know. And then, like, removing ingrown toenails. Carpet cleaning is probably the cleanest one I can get. The cleanest one, if you get what I'm saying, I can get into. So like that. But yeah, no, I can't fall asleep just like, I'm tired, I'm going to fall asleep. I have to, like, force myself and, with stuff into sleeping. So, yeah, that's my religious trauma. Hope that brightened your day. Because religious drama is very cool. Thank you for watching this clip. Watch it again or watch something